we have to start off with the Italian national team rescuing themselves against Croatia after finding themselves down 1-0 from a goal from Luka Modric that actually came up 30 minutes right after a penalty miss by him. They were able to keep possession of the ball. They worked it around, and then Modric was there after Donnarumma made a save on a previous attempt, and he was there for the rebound. And it seemed like Italy was on the verge of potentially going out this European Championship with only 3 points. They were, they had a few, especially right after, they were able to put a little bit of pressure on, but then there was a lot of stalemate. There was a lot of no real penetration from Italy. In the last few minutes, they were finally able to kick it on again, and Mattia Zaccagni able to make the difference for Italy. It was a wonder strike. An absolute wonder strike of a goal right in the top 90 after a good run actually by their center back Calafiori, who's actually brought into this team to play a little bit more of an offensive center back in terms of his ability to play out of the back, him being comfortable, the run he made to connect off 1-2, beating a man, opening up space. That's exactly what Italy needed. They didn't really have that much verticality. They didn't really have much players that can run at a man and beat him one-on-one. They got that from Calafiori on that, and opened up space for his name is escaping me. He was the goal scorer. Zaccagni opened up space for Zaccagni, and Zaccagni tops it in to the top net. Now, look, there's a lot of ways to go about it. Number one, heartbreak for Croatia. You see Luka Modric getting subbed out, which he needed to. He had no more legs left, and in that point, it's like he can't really affect the game at that point. You see him on the sideline, biting his shirt and all that, the nervousness, the tension. It actually cut to him like a minute before the goal, and then as soon as the goal went in, the celebrations, they cut back towards him, and he's just sitting on the benches in despair. It's so sad, it's so frustrating in that moment. Any proper football fan feels so bad for him. Croatia, they had in their standards, a really poor tournament. That was, in my opinion, number one, they weren't clinical enough. They created a lot of opportunities throughout this entire tournament. In all 3 games, they created a lot of chances, especially in that Spain game in the beginning, and in that Albania game in the second half specifically, and even in this game, they created themselves a few opportunities. The finishing was just not there. They did not score enough goals in this tournament. They only, with all the chances that they created, to only have 3 goals this group stages, and yes, 3 goals in a group stage, 1 goal a game, doesn't sound horrible, but they created a lot of opportunities for themselves. I don't think chance creation was the problem. I think finishing was. They really lacked that, that goal scorers up top. Perisic, he was important in terms of goal scoring over the past few tournaments, the last European Championships, the last World Cup. He wasn't really much of a factor this European Championship. Yes, he's not at the level he was a few years ago. He's older. He also had an injury that took him out for majority of the season. But the other problem that they had is defensive, just lapse of concentration defensively in bad moments. In that Spain game, just bad individual defensive mistakes did them in. In that Albania game again, they're able, they suffered the whole first half, but they're able to finally get on the front foot and really start dominating the game in the second half. Once they take the lead, then now they're on their back foot and they're having to defend, and then in the last minute, loss of concentration, Albania is able to get an equalizer, and here, loss of concentration in that moment, losing sight of the width of the players, like Sakakini not having a good understanding of where he is, getting sucked into Calafiori, making that run, allowing all that space and time for Sagagni. In that situation, he should have never had that much time and space to pick out that top corner. He should never have that kind of time and space. In that moment, you're defending a 1-0 lead, basically the last kick of the game. You're defending not just the goal lead, but you're defending your right to be at the Euros. Your capabilities to be at the not capabilities, but your chance to be at the Euros. And he should never had that much time and space. So again, with Croatia, this is the end of the generation. Yeah, I mean, yes, it is, obviously. And there's not that many players coming into it. That's the concerning thing. You got Modric, who, he looks like, he sound like he wants to stay on, which I have no problems with. I think he's earned the opportunity to do whatever he wants. And I still think he can be even if it's kind of like the role he had for Real Madrid this season, just somebody who can come in. I still think he can bring a value. He still has the experience, and he was still a leader, and just everything about him and his career is class. Kovacic, Brozovic, they're getting older too. Brozovic actually is really old. Kovacic, not as old as the other two, but he's still, he's aging as well. So it's time that they need a proper number 9 too with this team. Mandzukic was brilliant. Kramaric, he's good. He's had a good season in the Bundesliga, but at this sort of level, if you want to compete for European Championships, World Cup, all that, they were able to reach the World Cup semifinals with Kramaric, but to develop that sort of real top level national team to get over the line, there needs to be new talent sprung into this team, and it doesn't seem like there's much going on much coming in right now. You do have a Gvardiol, which is kind of a generational type player, but apart from that, this next generation of Croatian players is not the most strong. So it's a time for rebuild for them. We'll see what Zlatko Dalic, what he would like to do. I think he's been a brilliant manager. Very amazing manager in terms of what he's done at Croatia, and I can't put into words the job he's came in. Coming in on a short notice right before the 2018 World Cup, leading them to a semifinal, then replicating that sort of run 4 years later. He can easily take an opportunity at some bigger club, not bigger. At a big club. I think he is that kind of manager. But whether he decides to stay on with this Croatia team, we'll see. I think if he does stay on with this Croatia team, I think he'll have a real belief that he could still continue to work with the squad. Maybe he likes some of the young guys going in. So it's interesting to see the transition Croatia goes to. As far as Italy, now Italy, not the strongest of group stages. They were this close. Now, I don't think they would have been eliminated. I don't think so, because Hungary finished third place in Group A with 3 points, and Hungary's goal differential is worse than what Italians would have been worse than Italians' point differential if Italy was ended up losing that game at 1-0. So I don't think they would have been necessarily eliminated if they only had 3 points and they finished third in the group. Now Croatia, they only have 2 points, so we could call it wraps. But I don't think Italy would have been eliminated, because it would only have taken one out of the 4 remaining groups to have a worse. They would only need one more team out of the 4 remaining groups to have a worse position, third place position than them, which I thought it would have been fairly possible for them to still get in despite the loss. But it would have been very, very risky. It would have been an extreme risk, and it would have been a horrible way to enter the knockout stages on the verges, on the basis of losing 2 games. Now, if you look at this group stages, and I have to look at it optimistically despite my fandom over Italia, not the strongest. rather. Look, I was impressed with the way they played against Albania. I happen to be apparently on the minority, but I thought they played pretty good in certain aspects of the game, especially their response to going a goal down early. I thought the intensity and the level of pressure that they were able to put on the Albanians for the next 20, 25, 30 minutes was so impressive. Now, I thought the Spain game was very, very poor. How they really had no foot in the game, and it made me really, it really made me go down a level on what I thought of this Italian team. Now, this Croatia game, I don't understand why they didn't come out with the urgency that they came out with after going a goal down. That 10, 15 minutes after going down or goal down, the intensity that they played with, the level of urgency that they showed was, and it was good football at the same time. That's what I wanted to see, and I thought we would see that with Luciano Spalletti coming in. This is not the high-flying Napoli team that we see him manage. We saw that in that first half from between Italy and Albania. But since then, we only see this team. We didn't see it at all against Spain, and we only saw this team against Croatia 10, 15 minutes. Now, international management is different, and maybe he hasn't had enough time to completely implement all his philosophies, and he wants to, fall into the natural Italian ways. But at the same time, they need to take more of a, show less respect to teams and take more of a footnote in games and be protagonists. Because I think they have the capabilities to play that. I mean, the way that they played against Albania in that 10, 15 minute stretch after going down a goal, that was good football from Italia. And, they're very lucky. They were able to find that breakthrough. It's just this team needs more verticality. They need guys that can, like what Raspadori did, guys that will be able to get past the man and open up space for someone else. That's exactly what it is, because there's not that many players within this Italian team that you can say comfortably when you see them running at someone with the ball that they'll be able to get past them one-on-one. Not much. Chiesa, yes, in certain times, but Chiesa has, he was decent against Albania, really provided nothing against Spain and was benched today. I thought Retegui, horrible. He's not good enough for this team. I think at least Scamacca gives you a little bit something when he drops down and starts springing the ball to the side. At least he gives you a little bit of, someone that can, drop down and, link up play. You don't get anything from Retegui. He's not that level at this point in age, and he's just not good enough. And yeah, now they take on Switzerland, and I'm not gonna lie, that's a good game for both teams. I think Switzerland will fancy their chances after watching Italy today. I think Italy, if they knew that they were gonna finish second place and that the game that they would get would be Switzerland. I don't think that'd be the worst team in the world to get. Usually when you finish second place in an international tournament, you get one of those big dogs. You get a Spain again, or they can't get Spain, but a team of that caliber, Spain, France, Germany, Switzerland. That's an interesting game, and I don't know. Well, I don't want to talk about it right now because there's a lot more to get to, but interesting time to be an Italian fan.